Survivor Specialist Phil and Will are back, and we are recapping episode number 9 of Survivor 47. Chaos, chaos, chaos. We end up losing Saul, who Jayburn Aquatic has been in our comments saying was going to win nonstop, relentlessly telling people they're wrong if they don't think it's Saul or Kyle, which at this point I don't think it's either. We have so much to talk about here, though. We had a really long challenge. We had this lost vote scenario. But more importantly, and what we have to start this episode with is, where did this come from and where does Genevieve go from here, Will? Like, help us understand what Genevieve's plan was and how this ends up being good for her.
I mean, I don't know if it ends up being good for her, but it worked out in her favor. And it's actually so funny. She basically puts a coup together against her own alliance. It gets back to her alliance, gets back to Saul and Teeny. And then Saul and Teeny bring Genevieve in for the counter. And she's like, yeah, guys, sure, I'm in. Which I don't know if we've ever seen that before. Like, it somehow got out that Saul was the target, but it never got back that Genevieve was the one pushing this, which that actually might not be good for her, because if she gets to the end, how is she going to explain her game? Because she's doing such a fantastic job of being under the radar and not letting these loose ends come back to her. But at the end, I mean, it was chaos. I got to give credit to Tribal Council. Extremely well edited. It was an authentic live Tribal Council. It was not manufactured like the other one we saw this season when Rachel just got up and left and bounced and left the 2-5 to scramble. This was a real live Tribal. Chaos, yes, but this was an 8-1 vote. Everybody went with Saul. And I think it's because when you get that scared, you just latch on to any name that you hear. If you hear Saul, and I know we had other names involved, Sue and Kyle, yes, but those were never the full plan. Those came up briefly. They were spontaneous names. Let's do this. They were counter punches. The majority wanted to get rid of Saul. And when everyone's talking, and the easiest thing to do is say, go with the original plan. And even Teeny had to go, yep, Saul, you're my number one. That's why she was in tears. Had to write Saul's name down. So I don't know if this works out for Genevieve, and that she probably wanted it to be a little bit smoother, but better this than it coming back to bite her, and that Teeny and Saul and other people figure out, hey, Genevieve's steering this. Let's put the votes on her or try to enact some other counter. She was involved in the counter, so she had all the information the whole time. So again, like, well played masterfully by Genevieve.
Yeah, it's well played, but it's kind of like what we talked about last week, where sometimes the move that you want to make happen isn't the best move for you. And right now, and I know Kelly Nalbandian is over on our RHAP right now, recapping the episode. And I knew that she was about to go on, and I put out a tweet, and she liked it. And I was like, oh, and I said, Genevieve tanked. Yeah, I know. Give us the thumbs up. Getting Kelly love is always a good thing. But I've said that Genevieve just tanked her own game by making the move she wanted to make. And what this feels like to me is War Dog going after Khaleesi back in Edge of Extinction. And that's what he kept calling her. He kept saying, she's Khaleesi with the white hair and all that. And he goes after Kelly Wentworth. And Kelly Wentworth would troll him the whole time after the season. Every podcast that Kelly popped into, she was like, I don't know why War Dog voted for me. Why don't you ask him? Because what happens? War Dog goes home the next week because he votes out one of his closest allies. And all of a sudden it felt like, well, Genevieve's been trying to get rid of Saul, all this. I wasn't buying it. And for me right now, Genevieve, yes, has a brilliant mind for the game, but so did Omer and so did Jesse, and neither one of them won the game. And That's where I feel like Genevieve is going. I feel like this was a game-losing move because who is she working with now? Where is she going? And that doesn't mean this wasn't masterfully executed, because it was. But where is she going? And I got to put up Jayburn. Saul, RIP to the king. # my winner pick. Thank you for the super chat.
Winner pick every week. Got more confident each week until
he was very confident Ben was going to win last season too. So here we are.
There's a big difference between War Dog and Genevieve, though. I think War Dog wanting to target this returning player who has legendary status and like wanting that kind of pelt, wanting to get that kill for him and to take credit for that. Whereas Genevieve, again, this did not get out that Genevieve put this plan together. Now, I don't even think if you ask everyone who voted for Saul, all 8 people, would any one person in particular be like, this was Genevieve's master plan? I don't think so. I think there were so many names tossed out. We had also, the tribe was so split up, like physically, like their locations were so different. We had 4 people doing this little Jenga game. We had 4 people eating. We had 2 people back at camp. And so I think it's probably hard to track this one back. I don't know if there's a direct route that's going to link Genevieve to this plan and it's now going to upend her game. So that's where I would kind of bump against you on that. Do I think this was her best move or the right timing? I don't really know. It is hard to say, like, who is Genevieve's number one? She keeps flipping all over. St. Cliffo comes in. Gabe did call it Genevieve's move. I think he did that almost as like to make Genevieve feel better about it. Almost, I don't know. It seems like a lot of players aren't giving Genevieve credit as a strategic player or a strategic threat in this game. We heard a couple people tonight I think it was Kyle, like, I don't even know if Genevieve has the ability to like make a move on her own or something. And we were like laughing. I think it was Gabe. Yes. Gabe or Kyle, like the Tuku members are not taking her seriously. And that's meant for the audience to just laugh because we've seen her basically steer every vote that she wants to. And she's moving the target onto whoever she thinks she should go home. And it really does remind me of Jesse in season 43, that there was always this consensus plan from the majority. And then he would go, wait a second, is this the best for my game? And that's exactly how Genevieve's playing. And I'm with you. I still, it's hard for me to grasp on and find the Genevieve win here just because we know so little about her personally. But I'm not going to sit here and say this was like a game ending or game ruining move because I don't think her hands are all that dirty. And it was an 8-1 vote. So it's not like it was 5-3 or 5-4. Or there was some other alliance that she pled herself to. Like if she had told Teeny, Andy, Sam, and Saul and said, hey, I'm going to vote Kyle with you guys. And they all vote Kyle. And then she votes Saul with, Rachel, Gabe, Kyle, the other Tuku people. Then that's a flip from Genevieve. And it's like, Genevieve, you screwed us. You lied to us. Mm-hmm. Because everyone ended up voting Saul, she can throw herself in that bag. She can be like, I was one of the confused people too. And everyone was changing. I mean, that tribal was so live. How can it gives her such an easy out for not being the one masterminding this plan.
And I have a question though. When Rachel told Sam, and this is a genuine question because I honestly don't remember. So if anybody in the chat or Will here, when Rachel told Sam, who did Rachel say it was the idea of?
I don't think she said it was an idea of anybody's. I think she said, there's a name. I'm not going to tell you the name. And then Sam asked out loud, he runs it through his head. It's probably a Lavo. It's probably Tuku flipping onto Lavo. Who's the biggest threat on Lavo? Oh, it's Saul. And then he says Saul out loud. And all Rachel does is go, nods her head. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't tell anybody. Don't blame it on my game. She does not say Rachel came up with this move. True. At all. I don't think this gets back to Rachel or it gets back to Genevieve.
I guess that's where, like, I agree with you that right now it's hard to pinpoint this on Genevieve and maybe they won't be able to. But if people start to say, where did this come from? Like when Rachel got the news and told Sam is now going to be wondering, where did that information originally come from? And where did Rachel get that information? Who originally told Rachel that this was going to happen? I think when you start to put it back, what ultimately is going to end up happening is, even if this isn't the reason Genevieve goes home, even if it doesn't get back to her and people don't say, oh, Genevieve came up with this move, I think what Genevieve did do is get rid of one of the people who would have kept voting with her. And I think that's ultimately what's going to be more impactful here. I don't know why she decided to go after Saul. I do think Teeny is going to be upset by this. And if anybody gets any inclination that Genevieve came up with this idea, Teeny's going to go after Genevieve, and that's going to be the end of Genevieve. So it's more of, I guess what my question is, or why the reason why I'm saying that this blew up her game, it's not even a question, but the reason why I'm saying that this is the end of Genevieve's game is because there was no reason for it. And I don't understand the benefit. And I can't see a path for her now through the next couple of episodes. And that is ultimately why I'm saying this is the move that ended her game, because she got rid of Alavo. She got rid of somebody who was going to work with her. She got rid of somebody who had pretty good relationships with other people too. We had seen Sam went right to his defense. We saw Rachel last week and even this week say, look, he helped me, but I'm not going to go too much. There was potential for numbers there. And now it's like, does Genevieve just want to go to the end with the Tukus? Does she think she'll just beat the Tukus? That's all I can envision right now.
A couple things in response. First thing is, when I think Genevieve told Rachel, Genevieve doesn't go up, and that's why Genevieve's so good. And that's why I don't think she has been caught or looked at as a threat at all. She's just so damn good at this. She goes up to Rachel and says, I have to let you in on the plan, the current plan. Mm-hmm. don't tell anybody. I want to bring you in and work. I want to work with you. The current plan is Saul. She does not go up to Rachel and say, hey, I have this idea for a great blindside that I want to take credit for. I want to blindside Saul. I already got everybody on board for it. Do you want to come on with it too? Do you want to help me make my move? That's not how Genevieve plays Survivor. She entices people in. She makes it think that they're being brought in. In no way or shape or form is she saying, this is my idea. Will you do my idea with me? So, hey, that might hurt her in the end because people aren't going to give her credit for the moves she's been making. I like to think that she'll be able to talk her way into it if she is sitting at final 3, which again, I don't think is going to happen because I think if she gets there, she has to win just to have a, satisfying story for the audience. Like if Genevieve gets to final 3 and loses, we would not be getting all this behind the scenes strategy from her. The audience would be pissed. Like that would not be a good look. And I don't think she gets there. But that's where I push back on that. I don't think Rachel even knows that this was Genevieve's plan. And then why did she target Saul? I think there's a few reasons for this. One is we keep hearing from Genevieve that she wants the low-key threats eliminated. And this is like not a new way of thinking about Survivor. We've seen this, the meat shield strategy from season 31, basically. Like have shields, have big, loud players that are more visually and obviously threatening out in front of you. Now, we are collecting quite a few of those, but if you look at this, we're at final 9 right now. Kyle, Gabe, and Sam are all still in the game.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably going to be next 3 of the 5 votes, and as long as the other 2 aren't you, like, and Andy's still kicking around, like, and he's going to stir up something. Everyone loves Teeny. Like she's getting rid of the people that would take her spot at final 3 and win. Like Saul's absolutely one of those people that would be at final 3 and win the game. Sierra could do that too. That's the new era in a nutshell. Is don't be the person to make a move and then because you're going to get voted out right away. You have to be low key, and so Genevieve has seen that. It was basically new meta from Genevieve. Take out every low key under the radar player because that's my game and that's how I want to win.
I mean, that's very, very well explained because people in the chat are asking, why wouldn't they vote for Kyle? Why wouldn't they vote for Kyle? And I think you're 100% right because the thing is, and I've said this before on the podcast, and I think that some players get it and some don't. And Genevieve is one who truly gets it. And if you're listening to this, hopefully you get it too. There's this feeling of, Survivor might be unfair to one group of people, more fair to another group of people. You go back and forth over like who has the advantage. Is it physical white guys? Is it, strategic women? Like who has the advantage? Who has the disadvantage? And I think what's interesting is the players who play Survivor the best are the ones who know what their advantage and disadvantage are. And they know how other people are going to perceive them before they get to know them. And that's what Genevieve is really doing a great job of right now is she knows that everybody is looking at her as a woman playing Survivor, even in the new era, even though the women have dominated the new era, there is this feeling of, oh, well, okay, they're just going to be the under the radar threat. Don't worry about it. Well, the thing is, Genevieve knows that that's how she's being perceived. And she also knows that to be the one that nobody's worrying about means to be the person who is the only one that you shouldn't worry about. Meaning like she knows that her strategy and her game has to be being the under the radar woman. So get rid of the other under the radar players. And that's what you just said, but you said it really well. And Genevieve coming into this game, knowing that about herself is why she's pulling off these moves. Kyle, Sam, Gabe, Andy, those are players that Genevieve it's never going to come down to Genevieve or them because they play a totally different game. If the players are going after physical threats, they're going to get rid of a physical threat. But if they're going after these strategic threats, all of a sudden she becomes the person that you want to vote out. So she even realized that Saul was a threat to what her role in this tribe is.
But even look at the strategic threats remaining. You have like Rachel and Caroline, who are even probably more top of mind than Genevieve. Like, I don't think she has a target on her back. And also, I think it's pretty wise here to get rid of a Lavo. Now, that might not sound smart at all because Lavo's your tribe and there's only 3 of you left. But guess what? It's Teeny and Genevieve from Lavo. They have 2. Tuku still has 4 and Gata has 3. So why is anyone going to look at Teeny and Genevieve next week? I don't see it. I don't think it gets back to her. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's like you want to be the least threatening. That's what New Era Survivor is all about. She just reduced her threat level by reducing Lavo's numbers. And the fact that she was in on the original plan and that Teeny and Saul went back to her. Like Saul, I don't think is going to the jury and being like, I'm really mad at Genevieve right now. And by the time he figures it out or is told, he's probably like, damn, Genevieve, player. And if she's in their final three, he's voting for Genevieve to win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could have really worked out better too from the standpoint of like with this whole lost vote nonsense, which we'll get into in a little bit. Caroline losing her vote really didn't do anything to make this less interesting or anything like that. Like it actually worked out for Survivor that on this big of a vote where it seemed like it could go a bunch of different ways, Caroline was the one without a vote because we always knew she was going to vote with Tuku. So when you look at the rest of Tuku, Cabe, Sue, Kyle were all going to vote the same way. And then it was about getting Genevieve and Rachel on board with that. So,
well, no, I think Caroline not having a vote did lead to the chaos we saw, because if Caroline has a vote here, then they have the numbers to get rid of.
Oh, yeah. So they don't even need to worry about well, they would still. So Genevieve would have been with them. So it would have been Genevieve
it'd be Genevieve and Andy. So it'd be the Tuku 4 and then Genevieve and Andy. And that would be 6 voting and it'd be a 6 against 4.
Well, even in this situation, it's 5-4 then because Genevieve and Andy are voting that way. So it would have been 5-4. So really, there wasn't actually that much chaos going on here.
True. Yeah. I guess, was it a mistake from Genevieve to tell Rachel? I don't think so, because Rachel's the one giving trust out. And now I think it was a mistake from Rachel's part to go tell Sam, because then that's what caused all the chaos. And now Genevieve can go to Rachel and be like, hey, you spilled the beans when I trusted you. And if anything, Rachel needs to win Genevieve's trust back.
But I think Genevieve has to be careful with that, because if she goes to Rachel and says, hey, you spilled the beans when I trusted you, and she comes across like too Godfather-like there, then Rachel might say, oh, Genevieve, were you the one who came up with this plan that you're being so protective of? So I don't know if Genevieve's going to say anything to her, to be honest with you.
And yeah, she might not. And that's probably the right way to do it. And that's the way we've seen Genevieve play the game so far. She's so with it and smooth and just so unassuming. It really is great Survivor gameplay.
It is. It really, really is. What else we got here? What else we got? Let's jump back and let's talk about the challenge / vote loss thing. Obviously, the 4-vote loss thing really had the internet in an uproar, and I was one of the people who was in an uproar. It's just such nonsense. And then obviously 3 of them get their vote back by playing a very thrilling game of build a triangle tower.
Did you not like the game?
Here's my problem with the game. I watched them edit the shit out of it. And so it'd be like, oh, good put. Let's do the next one. And they were clearly cutting to different times throughout the game, which was driving me crazy. If you watch it again, you'll see like she puts down to complete a triangle, and then the next shot of Sam putting one up, there's already like 1 or 2 up there. So it's clearly a different time during the game.
Yeah, it's an edited TV show. They edit the challenges too.
Yeah. Okay. But that's what was driving me nuts about it, is they were trying to create like this drama of, oh, are they going to be able to put the next one down? And as I'm watching, I'm like, this isn't happening right after Rachel did hers. This might be happening earlier than Rachel did hers. So just watching it from that standpoint, I was like, I don't know. And doing the confessionals inside of the challenge as well to kind of build up the drama. I never feel like that really works on Survivor. So yeah, I thought it was okay, but I don't know. I could have just done without anybody losing their vote. Like, I don't really need it. It's so stupid.
I don't mind one person losing their vote. I think I actually was kind of happy with Survivor and that they learned from their prior mistakes, and that when we saw this in 45, I believe, for the first time, it was 3 people going off to do this like rope and ball puzzle. And if you didn't solve the puzzle, you lost your vote, and they were each doing it individually. And all 3 people couldn't do it in the time allotted. It was just way too hard. And so all 3 players lost their vote at final 9, I believe. And there's like 6 people voting, and maybe there's an extra vote in there. Maybe someone had lost a vote another way. And that felt like it was really overstepping the line, where it's like, we're going to take a third of our players and take their votes away. Plus there already might be lost votes. Like, that felt kind of icky. Like, let the players play the game. But when you're at final 10 right now and there's just one person losing their vote, it does not bother me that much. And I actually liked that the way they set this up was that no matter the outcome of whatever this game was going to be, it was going to be 1 lost vote and 3 people were going to get their votes back. So there was this shock factor of 4 of you are going to lose your votes. Whoa. when in reality, that was never going to happen. That we knew the amount of votes that were going to be cast from the beginning of the episode. It was always going to be 9 votes cast out of 10 players. So I don't really have a big problem with it. A lost vote here and there can really add some intrigue and mix things up. And I really do think if Caroline has her vote, I don't know if they need to pull Rachel in, and we maybe don't get this exciting live tribal council, because I really dug tribal council in a season and in an era where I think tribal councils have been kind of stale. So
I've said this so many times about the lost votes. First of all, it's tone deaf of Jeff in production at this point to be like, 4 of you are going to lose your vote, because even though you know that only one person's going to lose their vote, you piss off the entire fan base. Everybody watching this is like, and I know that you'll be like, no, man, like it didn't bother me much. Dude, the internet was exploding over this. Ex-Survivor players are exploding over this. I know that Twitter and stuff isn't real life, but nobody wants this. And James Jones wants it, which I can actually read off James's tweet, which was actually a pretty good tweet. And I think it's a good point, but I'll get to it in a second. But my biggest problem with it is it might work on the island. As an audience, you just split up 10 people into 2 groups of 5. So now we have to follow that. 4 people are going to do their vote. 2 people are doing nothing. 4 people are going on reward. So we're trying to keep track of 3 different things. And we're trying to keep track then of already which advantages are in the game. But does anybody else have a lost vote that's still out there? And you're doing this. It's so pointless. And ultimately, like you said, maybe they wouldn't have told Rachel. Ultimately, Saul was going home tonight no matter what, whether Caroline had her vote or not. It just feels like something to fill time. And while it might work on the island, I don't think it's working for the majority of audience. That doesn't mean some people aren't liking it. And maybe I'm over-hating it. But I just think it's a waste of time.
I think you definitely are like strong in the anti-losing vote contingent. That's part of your take as a Survivor internet person. So whenever there's a segment where someone can lose a vote, you're not going to like it. And that's fine, because you don't like when people lose their votes. You want to see the players play the game. That's totally cool. I think getting mad at the show kind of trolling the audience live by saying 4 of you are going to lose your votes, I mean, that's what the show wants. I mean, they're going to get way more tweets, way more posts. I mean, how many hashtag survivors or at Survivor CBS or at Jeff Probst happen due to that? And how much does that drive engagement and viewership and interaction with the audience?
They're all middle fingers.
I think they all know, but that is something that you definitely want out of your audience, to be engaged. And even if they're pissed, and guess what? They knew the whole time only one person was going to lose their vote. There was never a scenario where 4 people were actually going to lose their votes. So I'm fine with it. I mean, if all 4 players had gone and lost their vote, I would be like, okay, what are we doing? We have a great final 10 vote, which we usually don't even get in the new era. In the final 10, they usually split into 2 groups of 5, or at least about half the time that happens. So to see just a down the line final 10, we love to see that. 1 vote, Phil. Come on. It's not that bad.
I mean, once I found out it was 1 vote, it didn't bother me that much, but that's the point in Survivor.
That's where you go. And then they get all the uproar and engagement online. It's actually beautiful by them.
I don't like when they lose votes at all. And then it's like, oh, we said we were going to lose 4. Look, we're giving it back to you. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think it's worth it. And honestly, like, even though they got their engagement and they got all of that, most people are still so pissed off.
Really?
When they find, I really believe that. I don't think people like this. I don't think I'm alone on an island here. Like, I really do think the popular opinion in the community, I know when I'm on an island most of the time. Like, I've had my hot takes that I know I'm on an island on. I don't think I'm on an island on this one. I think most people are absolutely aggravated by this. John Stallings. Okay, but John Stallings, you found the 1 comment over here. You know? So there you go. Captain Obvious. That's good. New York Kuro. We don't like it. Chris Mack talks. We all agree with you, Phil.
We all do.
Watson, you're not alone. Here's the thing. Why is this the new obsession? Is there nothing else we can do? Like, would this episode have been any worse if we didn't do this? I kind of like how I don't understand what Genevieve's end game is with the Saul move. I don't understand what Jeff's end game is with we're going to lose a vote here and there. We're going to lose a vote here and there. We're going to lose a vote here and there. Like, it gets complicated. And also, when you think about, like, when people lose a vote, they are not able to do something, which I do personally believe when somebody does not have an impact on the end game of an episode, that audiences do not connect with that person as much. That's all, because they're not having to say in who goes home.
We had Royal 17. I'm Team Will. We had Janelle Lightborn. I was fine with it. Look, we can beat a dead horse. We like lost votes or not. I don't think this episode becomes much better or worse if we don't have it. I mean, we are down to 10 players here and we have 90 minutes. And so we had one long challenge, which is great, but we then a second mini challenge. I don't think that was all that bad. We had a really fun tribal council. We had a really good scramble before tribal council. I don't know if those needed more time. So what you're really asking for is some more camp life before we get to the challenge. And hey, maybe we get to know the characters a little bit more, some funny camp life scenes. That's not too bad. But I didn't feel like the scene, the Jenga game went on too long. And I thought it was a fun little mini game. Honestly, I didn't hate it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if I was watching this, my take would be I'd rather it be, but if I was making this, or if I could have all the say, I'd rather watch a reward challenge, do something on a reward, go back to camp, do an immunity challenge, then watch an hour-long immunity challenge and a 3-second Jenga game that, I don't know. Like, I don't love it.
So you want to go back to like what Survivor used to be for like 35 seasons.
Yeah, I just want Survivor to be Survivor. I don't want it to be a bunch of mini games. Like, I don't know. They changed the structure too much. And I don't know. Like, again, losing one does not have me as pissed. But the thing is, this is where I guess I get the most mad. Jeff says 4 people lose their vote and you'll have a chance to get it back. And we're at the point in Survivor history where we all believe, Jeff, that 4 people.
I know. That's awesome.
And that's what pisses me off.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that, because I could see you at the TV just losing it, being angry, and I'm like, yes, that's funny. Like,
See, but you get that type of joy. Most people don't know who the hell I am, so they're not.
He's like trolling the internet at this point.
He's trolling me.
Yeah. That's why Jeff Probst did that. It was to troll you, Phil. That was definitely it.
Hey, here we got a good super chat here. Worth playing for. Survivor feels the need to add more stuff to fill 90 minutes. This goes to my James Jones tweet. So I'm going to throw this up there. Thank you so much. Worth playing for. I want to get this James tweet.
Very nice of you.
I love when James, because James has like, he's one of those people, he gets his take and then he's like, and this will be the take. You cannot budge me from this take. So this is what he says. This lose a vote-ish is wild, ... However, I think it does make the physical element a factor, which isn't really emphasized post-merge. I'm not that mad at it. What do you think about that, of like making it so that the physical portion, do you think that this is making the physical portion more meaningful because now people are trying to play more and the ability to get your vote back is generally based in some form of challenge, even if it's not physical like tonight's was?
Yeah, I don't know where this is coming from, honestly. I don't understand what the physicalness. We've seen people lose votes in so many different ways. Most of the time it's some social game, some prisoner dilemma game. And I think this is maybe one of the first ones. This is the first time we've seen people actually go head to head in a physical challenge, physical and major quotes for me right now, because that's little mini House of Cards. Like, I don't think anyone could argue that like Sam had an advantage over Caroline because he's got bigger muscles. So I don't really know. I don't know about the.
So I guess
maybe it's about the challenge that like, hey, you should win the challenge. Okay, that's what it is. It took me too long to get there. I'm sorry, James. I'm okay with that. Like, make the challenges more important, especially because one player gets immunity. But hey, if I get second place or if I get my team to the finals, I get to keep my vote. And winning challenges should have maybe a little bit more importance. I don't know. I'm okay with that. Again, I didn't hate this thing.
I think that's what his point is more, is like, you can't just throw a challenge off the bat. And if you do really poorly in a challenge, you could be punished for it. I think the extreme of this was when Lindsay Dolshewich had to go and do the whatever game, the Monty Hall game, just for the sake of doing it because she finished last in a challenge with 3 people in it.
Oh, well, that was the worst.
But that's what I'm saying. So like, that was trying to make the physical element more important, but then somebody could literally has to play do or die and could go home because of it. This is like finding your way to a happy medium with that, right? Of if you do bad enough in a challenge, you have the potential to lose something, but you're not going to be out of the game.
Yeah. No, this is, if anyone's comparing this to do or die, and Phil, I hope you just didn't.
No. I'm
Please
not.
stop right
I'm
now.
saying no. I'm not comparing it to that. I'm saying that this is Survivor moving more towards saying we want the challenges to be more important. Where like if you finish last, maybe there is some repercussions, but the repercussions of do or die were so extreme. Here we are working our way back towards something that's a little bit less extreme, but still rewarding people for finishing 6th place in a challenge, because people who finished 6th tonight were rewarded.
Sure. Yeah. And the 4 people that went, you had a 75% chance to keep your vote. So it wasn't that much of a punishment.
It actually wasn't that much of a punishment.
Can we talk about this tribal council? Am I the only one who noticed how well this was edited?
Did you notice how many butts were off the seats?
3? Like not
only 4, actually. It was 4. Saul, Genevieve, Andy, and Teeny all got up. So it was those 4. So we're up to 9 butts off seats. 15.5 is the total. I thought we were going to get all 10 tonight, and I would have been like, holy shit.
That's right. This is like such a unique tribal. It's like a low key, low fashion live tribal because everyone didn't get up. It was just a few people, but everyone was talking and whispering to the people next to them. And the way it was edited was Jeff would ask a question and then they would maybe show half a second of the person answering and immediately cut to somebody else who is then having a conversation with somebody else while the person's answering the question, almost as if to suggest that the question being answered is not that important. What really is important is the conversations that are happening in the background. And I don't know if we've seen it like this. And they really would held like really tight on these faces and these reactions and looks and people whispering and just playing this blah, 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 blah answer of Jeff's question in the background. And Phil, I've been in record of saying this, that like tribal council questions have gotten to be completely boring, mainly because the players are too good at the game, or they've watched too many good players play Survivor, and that you basically just need to fill the air with fluff to give Jeff a little something, maybe some metaphor or simile about, oh, this game is like a roller coaster, blah, 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 and just have Jeff check you off the list. Okay, you answered that well enough. You're not actually going to answer it truthfully. You're not going to give anything away. And so I love how they, like the editors leaned in to just not giving a crap about the answers. Because me as an audience member, at least this is the way I felt. I don't know if you felt the same way, Phil. I was more paying attention to what are the conversations in the subtitles, who's talking to who, where's the plan going, and you're not even listening to these like BS half answers anyway, which I like that we're like admitting that these answers don't matter at all. So I really enjoyed it. It was such a unique style and a good experience watching this, even though, look, it wasn't that crazy of a vote. They all landed on Saul 8-1, but just the style of it, I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that normally the live tribals are like too hard to follow and you don't really know what's going on. And like you said at the beginning of this episode, sometimes they feel really manufactured where it's just like, okay, nobody needs to get up. What are we doing? I agree with you. It's kind of like in like Peanuts, the adults, is it Peanuts where the adults go, wah, wah, the teacher, wah, 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 but the kids are having the conversation beneath. And that's what this felt like. Like I wasn't listening to a word Jeff was saying, even Teeny, to the point where Teeny says, can you repeat the question? Because Teeny's more worried about what the conversation with Sam is like. And that is what's integral to the game. Teeny.
And you felt it. Like you felt like you were in Teeny's shoes because Jeff's asking the question, but Teeny's literally talking to Sam. And it's like, wait, hold up, Jeff. And so
because Jeff has no impact on the vote. Sam does.
Right. No, yeah. What that conversation is much more important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. I thought this was a really good tribal. I mean, I know the third amigo here did not think it was such a good tribal, and I have to sit here and talk.
Who's the third amigo?
Blake. At 1:00 tomorrow, I have to sit down and talk to him and digging deeper. But I thought.
I thought this was exquisite.
I thought it was very well edited.
So well edited and such a unique experience when watching. Tribal Council has gotten so stale to really give us something new in a show that's 45 seasons in. Like, kudos, big time.
Well, and I think too, like when you think about, you're saying how Tribal Council is feeling stale. Tribal Council is literally the same thing every time. Jeff asks questions. Tribal Council is normally the point where I'm going through Twitter being like, okay, who does people think is going to go home? Is there anything I can retweet? Like whatever. Because at the end of the day, I'm saying, okay, it's between these two people. Nothing big is actually going to happen at Tribal Council. Normally, nothing actually takes place at Tribal. I do think this Tribal, even though Saul ultimately went home, I think because of the way that this went, I do think that it was an 8-1 vote because of this Tribal Council. I think things actually did change at Tribal to make it an 8-1 rather than maybe a 6-3 or a 5-4.
I thought Sue was going to catch like 2 or 3 votes. You know, I thought maybe Teeny, Sam, and Andy and Saul would maybe throw 4 votes, which is weird. I mean, that's I guess we can ask, why didn't that happen? Why didn't, because Sam comes to Andy.
Here I have a tweet from Teeny. We can get it straight from the horse's mouth.
Sure.
Teeny says, if I hadn't voted for Saul, I would have been the singular person on the outside of the vote. I learned the situation. There was no difference to make. Read a textbook, listen to a podcast, get off my dick. So
yeah,
we are. Listen to us.
I'm surprised people are questioning that from her. And I'm not surprised that she didn't, write someone else's name down and not, was never going to write Saul's name down, like honor integrity and keep that. Like if you know where everyone's voting, do that. That's absolutely the right thing. I'm more curious why, like, Saul, Teeny, and Sam, those 3 at least, were they so sure that Andy and Genevieve were just so far flipped, like there was no winning them back? I mean, they must have. But to me, you could have at least taken a stab. But I guess throughout the conversations in that tribal, it got back to Teeny basically that, hey, this is happening whether you like it or not, and you better get on board. So
I think that's pretty much what happened is when Teeny looked at Gabe, this was the most interesting part of the tribal council, was when Teeny looked at Gabe and said, I'm hearing Saul. And Gabe said, I'm not hearing that. In that moment, Teeny knew something was up because Teeny knew that she was being lied to by Gabe because she knew that Gabe was throwing around Saul's name. Like that had been confirmed to her by the other people on this on the beach that the Tukus were looking to get rid of Saul. Now, she doesn't know where that came from. She doesn't know that came from Genevieve, but she knew that the Tukus were doing that. So I think in that moment when Gabe gave her whatever name first, I think he gave her Kyle's name or something. He said, yeah, that's what it was. He said, I'm voting Kyle. Teeny's like, what? There's no way. Kyle and you are boys in the hammock all
literally teammates in the challenge you just won, been on the same beach, however many days.
That was a terrible lie by Gabe. It was horrible.
Right. Yeah, she read right through that.
And that's where I think Teeny said, okay, I don't have the numbers because if you don't have Kyle and you don't have Gabe and you don't have Sue, and now you hear from Genevieve, Teeny, we're voting for Saul tonight. Or maybe from Sam, we don't have a choice but to vote for Saul tonight. You're screwed. You have to just go along with it. And I think that Sam and Teeny probably would have rather Saul stayed and Sue went home. But I think at the end of the day, you cannot go out on a limb and put yourselves as the 1 or 2 people who are on the wrong side of vote in a season right now where there are no clear-cut alliances. It's pure chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, is it time for Teeny's revenge tour? Like, to avenge Saul's death, basically.
I mean, she's got to avenge somebody. She got screwed by Keyshawn, and now this.
This whole season feels like it's just a revenge tour. Like Andy, he's going to get revenge for being the backup plan and get Sierra out. And then Sam's blindsided last week. And Sam's like, oh, I got to get my revenge. I'm going to keep it in the back of my head, but I'm going to play cool. I mean, we had a whole revenge storyline from Sam in this episode. And then next week on Survivor, it looks like Sue still wants revenge from Kyle for like writing her name down in like the second episode when TK got voted out.
What are we talking about?
So like there's revenge. And now Teeny has reason for revenge. So everyone's just running around getting revenge. Rachel's still avenging Annika.
She got revenge tonight.
Who's that? Who got revenge?
Genevieve tonight.
Genevieve got revenge for Saul for targeting Rome.
You targeted
Rome. She even said that I'm petty. That's how I play this game. Mm-hmm. So it seems like everyone's got a revenge arc going.
Yeah, it's a fascinating season because when Genevieve said tonight to Sue on that beach, Saul said Gabe's name. I want to get Saul out. I sat there and I said, where did that come from? Like, why is that happening? Why did we get a little bit more of this? Like, why wasn't there more of a build up to this? But I just think that that's the way these players are playing this season. Like last week, Sierra goes home. We turn around and Andy's like, I guess I'll have to work with Sam. And Sam's like, I can't wait to vote Andy out of this game. But still, like these 2 guys now, Sam's going to Andy right before Tribal Council saying, hey, we're going to vote out Sue tonight. And Andy's like, oh, hell yeah, let's do it. Like they're all playing with each other. And it's I have to give the editors credit for this. It's got to be so hard to piece together the story when the story is a mess week after week after week after week. There is no clear cut Tika 3. There is no clear cut Reba 4. This is a weird thing breaking down every week. And even this week, we're going to put all the Tukus together and we're going to lump them in. I almost guarantee you a Tuku will vote for a Tuku next week. I'll almost guarantee you. Like, it's going to happen at some point. If it's not next week, it's going to be the week after. So this is
Tuku feels like they've got way. It's honestly amazing how the numbers are shaking out. And maybe Genevieve thought this through. I don't know. I imagine. I mean, you got to think it through. But it's like, it's the perfect. You got final 9 in one tribe. One original tribe has 4 people left. It's like, if you don't take one of them out, they're going to have half the people left. So you almost. Everyone on that beach, even the Tuku members, are probably like, yeah, we should probably take out a Tuku to lower our threat level. And then obviously Gata and Lava are like, yeah, if we don't get a Tuku, they could run the game from here on out. So I think this was a good move for Genevieve. I know a lot of people are questioning it, but I think it's good.
Let me bring up something that I think was good for a player. And this was the very first thing we saw this episode. So a lot of people might have forgotten about it, but I saw it in the comment as it was ticking by. Rachel got the strategy explanation at the beginning of this episode. And I just think that was really positive for Rachel from like a going deep / potentially even winning this game. Her getting that confessional of explaining why she went through the process of playing her shot in the dark, how it was to see the reactions of everybody. Nobody reacted, so she figured she wasn't going home. The fact that we got that from her rather than a quick aside of like, oh, Rachel played her shot in the dark. Who knows why she did that? Like, we got the full explanation. That's the first time I feel like we've really seen that. And especially because it was such a good strategic play. I don't know. I got a little faith in Rachel after that. That felt like the beginning potentially. We've been looking for a winner all season. It's like, could that be the beginning of something? Or were they just going to put that in anyway?
No, I think it looks good. And Rachel's looked good the past like 2 or 3 episodes. Yeah. I think she's definitely one of the people front running. I mean, I have it as Rachel or Andy as pretty much the winner at this point. Outside chance at Teeny if she I mean, she has done really almost nothing the entire season. I think she put together one vote and she took out Asia, which was like a terrible move that cost her number 1 ally. The next vote when Keyshawn went home was just a really bad move. And then since then hasn't really done anything. She's not the one driving the plans or votes. It doesn't seem like the Tuku people take Teeny seriously at all. But if there is this, Teeny revenge tour after Saul got tonight, then there is a story there I can buy. I wish I could tell you I like Genevieve's chances. I still don't. I just don't know anything about her other than her gameplay. That continues to be the case. I mean, maybe Phil next week, it's like Genevieve can tell us about growing up in Canada, or I don't know if there's a family visit or something, somewhere we can learn about her background as a human and not just her as a game player, as a strategic thinker. Then I would love to put Genevieve up there. But right now, for me, it's like Rachel and Andy, because Andy had a great episode tonight. Like I said on last week's podcast on the recap, it was going to be Andy's story is over. He got Sierra out. He came after them. And now we can put that to bed. It seems like Andy, that story is not put to bed. Andy is still trying to be the one to take out Gata and to like overcome everything, like to be the winner, not just to vote out Sierra. So I have it as Rachel or Andy winning right now. I would be surprised if it was anybody else.
Soul Dope 1234, another super chat. Always love getting these. Updated Final 5. Any chance for Sam to sneak in? I don't hate Sam's chances after tonight based on how people are playing right now. I feel like Kyle and Gabe will be more on people's radars over the next couple weeks. I feel like Genevieve might look to get rid of Teeny at some point. Teeny might look to get rid of Genevieve. Rachel has an idol, so anything can happen with that. Sue's name's coming up tonight. People are talking about how she's the most insulated, which I thought was an interesting reason to try to get rid of her. She has an idol, so she can get the votes and put a stray bullet onto somebody else. I don't necessarily hate Sam's chances, but if I was looking at who the final 5 of this season were, I would probably say it's if I was going to say now final 5, I would say Teeny, Rachel, Andy, Caroline, and I honestly think Sue is still going to get there. I think Gabe, Kyle, Genevieve, and Sam will be the next 4 people going home in some order. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. Sam to me could make it like pretty. I could see him going out at Final Four. Honestly, I could see him like losing fire to somebody or like going out at 5 or 6.
He had
That
a
wouldn't
really good edit
surprise
tonight.
me. Yeah, he's his recovery off getting blindsided. He did exactly what you want to do, which we've talked about all season. Maybe this is why this season is so tough alliance wise. Like there aren't really these hard and fast lines that people are staying behind. Is that when people get voted out or when people get blindsided and they weren't in on the vote, they come back and they say, hey, it's all good. We're playing Survivor. We're playing a game. Let's work together moving forward. And everyone's like, yeah, cool, man. We'll work together. And guess what? Sometimes they do work together and they vote people out together. And that makes it really difficult. But that is good Survivor gameplay. Like Saul even had a confessional tonight. Like, I really like how Sam handled it. He didn't take it emotionally. He knows we're playing a game. He's willing to work with us. And because Sam did that, he's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and Sam, I mean, I forget what he said. He said it to somebody. He was like, I'm ready to play. Like, I'm ready. Whatever you want to do, I'm ready to play.
Oh my gosh. When Rachel told him the plan was Saul, he got up right away. I was like, all right, let's go. Let's put this plan into gear.
Crazy. I have to say, too, though, for anybody who might question why Sam did that, here's the thing. And I said this about JT back in Game Changers. There's certain people who are going to play to win, not to get one more vote. Right. So when JT goes home in Game Changers with the idol in his pocket, everybody's like, what a friggin' idiot. This guy's so stupid. If JT gets through that vote, JT could go on to win the game. Right. If he plays his idol there, he probably gets 14th or 13th or whatever anyway. That's how I feel about Sam right here. Sam heard this, got the information from Rachel, and it was essentially like, hey, guess what, guys? Like, Sam, you'll be okay, but this is the plan, and you're just going to go along with it. And Sam said, no, I'm not going to sit here and get 9th place. I'd rather get 10th place than get 9th place. Because I'm going to go out swinging and I'm going to go try to win this thing. And I thought it was brilliant and beautiful what he did. And his name never came up. Sam got no votes tonight. That's pretty big considering he lost his closest ally last week. And he caused chaos tonight. And everybody knows he got up and caused the chaos.
Yeah, when you're on the bottom and someone tells you the plan like that, you don't just sit around and say, okay, thank you. Like especially in the new, like you have to put the game into your own hands and try to make something out of nothing. At least he tried. So. Yeah. I'm with you there. You gotta give it a go.
I love that. Somebody asked about the confessional count. It's not up yet. Whoever the person who normally posts that over on Reddit must be asleep. Must have missed this episode. I don't know. It's not up yet. So we'll get to that. What else happened in this episode? One thing we didn't talk about last week, Will, was the idol in the roof, in the tarp. How did you feel about that? We didn't talk about that somehow, and I just feel like we should bring that up.
Did we not?
No, we didn't mention the idol in the tarp.
While I think we probably didn't bring it up, I think we've seen a number of idol in the shelter moments. Mm-hmm. And I mean, sure, was it the first time it was sewed inside the tarp? And is that clever and creative? Yes, it is. It's new, it's different. But is it that much more different than hiding it in between 2 pieces of bamboo in the shelter or a hole below the shelter? It's like we've seen the same song and dance before. Mm-hmm. I appreciate the effort to make idol plays new and interesting and unique, but I don't feel like this one was particular. I mean, it was fun that she had to do it right there and they were all inside the shelter while she was doing it. It was a little bit suspenseful, but can one of these times someone get caught? Can we actually make it really difficult? Like make it, we've had these like night sneak outs before where you have to like leave camp, go on a boat and then come back. It's like, it's so dark out there. Like no one's going to realize you're gone. Like it's not really that risky. Can we get like a real risky one? Like I want to see someone actually get caught going for the idol. So, I mean, Sue got caught sort of with the red paint and the pots and the ceramics and all that, but that hasn't really come to fruition. And talk about Sue, man, we have not heard from Sue in like, it feels like 3 episodes. I mean, I know she got a confessional last week after winning the challenge, but man, where is she at strategically?
Yeah, she's gone quiet. Now, so somebody did,
and she has an idol.
I couldn't find him, but somebody tweeted it at me, and I guess the person didn't post it on Reddit, but posted it on Twitter. So Sue had 2 tonight, believe it or not, but she did have the fewest out of anybody. Sam had his second 10 or more confessional episode. He's still the only person on the season who had 10 confessionals in a single episode.
Yeah, how many did Genevieve have?
Genevieve had 7. That was her most so far this year.
Wow.
And what's great,
I just wish I could like root for Genevieve to win because it just doesn't seem possible.
I agree. And after this week, like this was the, as a Lions fan, this was the 47-9 win over the Cowboys where Aiden Hutchinson breaks his leg. So you feel like your chances go down even though you dominated. I feel like Genevieve just dominated, but her chances went down.
What an analogy there, Phil. That one works. Good job.
Thank you.
Even though I don't agree this is going to like blow up her game, and it's not from what she did, it's more about the story we're being told. That's what kills it for me more than the actual gameplay.
Yeah. I mean, the Lions are still going to win the Super Bowl. So, hey, Genevieve could still win. It's just,
if you win the Super Bowl, then you could just trade Aiden Hutchinson. You're like, we don't
need him.
So like,
we don't need him. And he's going to be on the downward. So.
Trade him for like a first round draft pick and restock.
Yeah. All right. Well, I do have some. Was there anything else in the episode? Because I could go through some stuff here. I mean, I have.
What did you think about the losing the vote part? I don't think I heard your take on that.
You know what we didn't talk about? What did you think about the pair stuff? What did you think about the challenge overall? What did you think about them splitting into pairs, getting to choose the pairs? Very old school thing that they used to do. Running it and the different stages that were in there and what you could lose or gain at each stage. And then we get a classic challenge. Every time I see this, I either think of Coach screaming at the top of his lungs that his back popped out, or Rupert's nasty ass broken toe. What did you think about this challenge overall?
We've seen this iteration of like group up into teams and then run it, in different phases. This has been kind of a staple of the new era since I believe season 43, right? Since the Gabler, the first one with Gabler, and he's doing the endurance challenge while talking about, his veteran friends or something. And then I think we saw it in 44, 45, 46. So this isn't new. I do like the pairs. I also thought potentially what was going to happen was you pick your teammate or your pair, and then they were going to have to go to head against each other in the first phase. A la Squid Game, basically, where, you team up with the person you want to work with. And then it's like, hey, first round, one of you's going out. And so maybe we went from 10 down to 5 that way. And then we go to, another phase and then get to a final 3 and do an endurance challenge. I thought maybe that would happen, something a little bit different, but no, I don't mind this. I like how they pick their own teams, way better than drawing randomly from a bag. Whenever they can make their own teams, that's fun. I was surprised. I was like, they're going to let Gabe and Kyle be together? Really? Damn, that team's going to probably dominate. And they almost lost on second phase with that stair puzzle, but then they were able to just hop right across that.
Well, and Andy and Sam broke their bag, so they ended up losing on the first phase.
Yeah, and Jeff goes, "That's on you," and that's absolutely right. That is on them. You can't just rip the bag. You got to get the whole plank out. Come on.
Yeah. No, that was pretty rough, man. That was pretty brutal for them. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I kind of like it. I sometimes with the stage challenges, you end up like losing some of the drama because the person who's in danger ends up losing early on. But I feel like we're so past those days of Survivor that you can get away with a stage challenge every season. And it's not bad.
Yeah, because there's so many names out there. It's so much faster, the gameplay, way more dynamic. And they can tell, like, especially when you have a phase challenge like this, where you have 4 people in the final stage, all you need to do is get like a bite of one person being on the chopping block and then run with that. So it's like, okay, Gabe might not have been the actual target. That could be a name that was just tossed around. A lot of names get tossed around. So it's like, okay, Gabe's in the final. Gabe wins immunity. Let's add, let's backtrack this. Let's retcon this so that we give this bite about him being in danger. So yeah, that all worked.
Yeah. All right, let's jump over to a couple of things here because I haven't been able to update. We got our 4th journey of the season. So we hit the over on journeys for the over under game. So we've now hit 3 things: over 3.5 journeys, under a half a tribe swap, under 3.5 members of a single tribe missing the merge. Nobody went over 3.5 this season. So those are 3 things so far for that portion that have for the over under game that have happened. And then over on the prop bet game, I said that I would actually update the scoring, and I actually did. So I could be off a little just based on tonight because I like to make sure that I have everything right. But right now, in first place, we have DM Oitooso with 18, Nicholas Vitiello with 17, Rugar 16, and Ben Calibrod 16, and then Miles Joshua with 16. Those people, if you're in the prop bet game, you are playing for a custom pop Funko from Todd Herzog, who is also going to be my guest on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Wow.
This is a big one for me, everybody. I know that Todd's kind of showed up on a couple of podcasts here and there in recent years, but for me, it's always been a little intimidating to reach out to Todd just because I love China and Todd is like one of my all-time favorite players. So now I get to finally sit down and have Todd on the podcast, and I'm so excited to hear what he has to say about this season and what he feels about, what's been going down. Maybe he sees something we don't about Genevieve and more. And yeah, whoever wins the prop bet game is playing for a custom Pop Funko from Todd Herzog. So that's really exciting. Over on the fantasy game, do you want to hear something crazy, everybody?
I still got 2 players left. I've been holding on to my players for a while.
Blake has lost 5 players in a row, and I have all 6 players from my team still remaining at Final 9. I can just imagine Rome. I know Rome and Teeny have listened to us in the past, and I know that there's a couple other people who listen. I can just imagine the people from 47 who listen to this podcast hearing my team and being like, either this guy reads spoilers or somebody said something. Because Rome gave me the shittiest picking positions, and somehow I still have my entire team intact. Although I was a little concerned tonight because I have both Sue and Kyle on my team. But dude, I'm in first place in that thing. I'm going to give myself a buff. Nobody else is getting shit. I'm giving myself a buff. I don't even care. It's mine. That's crazy. How do you feel being above Blake? Not that you're beating him in the standings, you're still getting smoked, but how does it feel to have
my players didn't last long enough? But the fact that I had 4 players in a row go out, and then he was able to break that streak in the same season right after the next 5 players, that's pretty bad. I would never have 5 players in a row go out for my team. That would never happen. So
no, that's just sad. I mean, that's just embarrassing. Who are you picking, Blake? But I will be back with Blake tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be digging deeper into this episode. Don't know what our topic will be yet, but I'm sure it'll be fun. Blake's got his takes. It's going to be something interesting, that's for sure. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, become a Patreon. Patreon.com/specialist. We're midway through Panama right now. It's a good time. I'm in the 2019 Australian Survivor, watching that season unfold. Will, please watch 2019 Australian Survivor. There is a player who goes 7 episodes and doesn't get a confessional, and people in this community actually try to tell us that Australian Survivor is better edited than US Survivor. It is. And then another person got their first confessional in episode 8. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm watching with Australian Survivor. It's fun. It's not fun. It's a mess, but I enjoy talking about it because there's some really good stuff. But yeah, anyway.
But don't they start with like 24 contestants though?
They start with 24 contestants, but this girl literally was on the losing tribe like 4 times and didn't talk. Crazy. Like, to not get a confessional even in a week you're going to go home. And there's been like 4 people on the show who didn't have a confessional through the first 6 episodes. So I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah, and the episodes are like 90 minutes.
They're so long.
Yeah, they're like long episodes.
I have to take off work to watch the damn episodes. It's so ridiculous. So, but I am watching it. I'm getting through. John and I are doing our movie stuff. We're going to be doing ranking Ridley Scott movies this week on the regular channel since Gladiator 2 coming out very soon. I know Will picked his head up at that one. That was exciting. Huh?
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah. Gladiator 2 better be damn good, man. I'm excited. We're talking Black Hawk Down next week. So I always love that movie if you haven't seen that. Casting perspective, Rock Draw, Will and I ripping through that. Whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to have my after show coming out tomorrow. So plenty of stuff going over on Patreon. A lot of new patron signups. It's always fun when we get that notification that somebody else signed up. Hopefully you're able to keep your attention once you're over there. You get to join the Discord too, where people talk a lot of shit. One last thing I have to say before we go. Gabe did the Ray Lewis dance. I love that. I love that. A lot of people probably did not pick. Like, I know that there's a lot of people who watch Survivor who don't necessarily cross over with, Ray Lewis maybe, but he did that for the U, not because of Baltimore, right? 100%.
Well, yeah, we can credit that one to the U.
We'll credit it to the U. I'm sure Gabe will appreciate that. But yeah, Gabe wins immunity. He's only the 3rd person this season. Right now, so far, we have Sue, Gabe, and Kyle have been our winners of immunity challenges. So what an interesting thing. Anyway,
all on your fantasy team, right?
All on my fantasy team, aren't they? Or do you have one of them?
I don't know.
Oh, I have them all. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, I have Genevieve and Caroline. So probably still the 2 best players. They just don't have the best winning upside from what we've seen.
If you have Jen, no wonder you love Jen. No wonder you're trying to find that Genevieve win. You're like digging. Maybe I did read spoilers if I got all of them. I don't know, man. Something's up.
I mean, wait, who's Blake's 1 player remaining?
Do you think Blake,
like, is it just like a foregone conclusion you have the winner?
Let's see, because it's not going to be Genevieve. It probably won't be Caroline. Let's see.
No, Genevieve and Caroline are my team.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. You're saying, is it a foregone conclusion that I have the winner?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so it's not going to be one of those 2. And then he has Sam.
Sam's not even like I would go Andy, Rachel, or Teeny before Sam.
Yeah, that's true. And I have all 3 of those.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh man, we're doomed.
We're doomed. Pat myself on the back. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for listening. And I'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock with Blake digging deeper.
See ya.
Oh, you got it in. Thank God.